thinking you landed here because you'd like some good suggestions for team building activities. And in this video, I'm gonna give you some unconventional, unique, yet wildly useful and universally applicable team building exercises. If you choose to invest your time in this video, you will walk away with some really clever, smart, sustainable tools to build your team no matter what the context is. It's remotely, in person, industry agnostic, these tools just work because they're brain friendly and they allow people to connect to the purpose of why they're there and not just feel like they're doing this team forced bonding thing. So the first one actually came to me when one of my friends, Paul, who's a principal at a school in Pennsylvania, reached out and said, hey, I got these faculty meetings happening every month and I want to do something for about a half hour dedicated toward team building. But I don't want it to feel forced, and I ideally want it to be something that kind of uncrosses people's arms, that is easy to get buy-in to. Please no animal sounds or any other weird team buildy kind of stuff. And before he even finished, I said, I got it. All you need are my 3 absolute favorite tools. They are called the past, present, and future. Dan Sullivan, the founder of Strategic Coach, was the first person that framed them as tools to me. But I was like, whoa, past, present, future. I've never thought about using those time periods as instruments or tools to help a group teleport to useful conversations. And so what I said to Paul is, if you've got a half hour, you take 3 questions, 10 minutes with the past, 10 minutes with the present, and 10 minutes in the future. The easiest way to do this and the most fun, personalized format is to invite everybody to take out the supercomputers that live in their pocket, open up the Photos app, and on most photo apps, most phones, when you click the top of the screen, whoa, it jumps all the way to some of your oldest photos. And so you can invite people to, I call this timeline teleportation. You can invite people to teleport into some distant or recent period of their past and choose a photo that, and this is where you apply your intelligence and your knowledge of your own group and your own context, and you invite people to choose a photo that represents a story they'd love to share, or choose a photo of a memory that they totally lost sight of but would love to share with somebody else, or choose a memory from March of 2020 as a way of reflecting on how far we've come, right? So 10 minutes, living in the past, sharing photos, pairing up. Ideally for me, team building happens in groups of 3. Change happens, I would suggest, in small groups. And groups of 3 are really nice because it allows for not the vulnerability of a pair, but opens it up for a couple more perspectives, but you're not public speaking if you're in a group of 3. You get 7 people together and that's public speaking. And so you don't go around in a circle and have everybody share. Do it in small groups. It lowers the risk, which is what you want when you're building a team. The present, my current favorite question to access the present is this one right here. What has been taking up lots of your brain space lately? This question is like a teleportation device right to the heart of what matters for somebody. What is something taking up lots of your brain space lately? This could be something they're excited about, a challenge, anything else. But if you want to build a team, teams got to know what's going on in each other's lives. My late co-founder and co-author, Will, who we wrote Ask Powerful Questions together, was on his way to facilitate a retreat for a company. And he jumped in the car with the CEO of this company, and the CEO opened up and said, I'm not gonna lie, I am planning on firing my right-hand person after this retreat, and possibly during or even at the beginning of this retreat. Whoa! Team breaking, not team building. And he ended the retreat, I'll kind of skip the middle, he ended the retreat by saying, wow, I thought that I was gonna fire, and I thought that his exact language was, I thought that I hated this person, I'd grown to hate this person, and I realized I loved this person. Not in a romantic sense, but he realized he really, really appreciated who this person was. And what he found out was that their mother had passed away recently, and somehow he had been so busy and caught up with the doing of work that he failed to recognize what was taking up lots of her brain space lately. And so her performance was suffering. Duh. Her mother had passed away, right? So for most people, most of the time, something that heavy isn't gonna be on people's mind. It's just gonna be something that's present for someone. And so it's just a really good check-in question. What has taken up lots of your brain space lately? And you spend 10 minutes in the present, that's it. And then you want to build a team, you got to be talking about where you're going to go. You got to have conversations that actually allow people to talk their way into tomorrow, that talk their way into the future. My current favorite question for that is, what is something you'd like to do more of? And the reason this is one of my favorite questions is a mentor about 1.5 years ago asked me this question: what is something you'd like to do more of, Chad? And I said, scuba diving. Haven't gone in 4 years. Really, really love scuba diving. I got certified when I was 12, grew up pulling lobsters out from underneath rocks in New England. Hadn't gone diving in about 4 or 5 years. He asked me this question, and the profound part for me was that 6 months, almost to the day after he asked me that question, I was underwater, scuba diving, hunting for shark fossils before giving a keynote to a bunch of learning and development professionals in Florida. If you want to build a team, ask questions that allow them to talk their way into the future, because the conversations we have together materially change what happens next. Questions are like the edit button for the future. And you can see that literally, because if I ask you right now, watching this YouTube video, hey, what's taken up lots of your brain space lately? Or what is something you want to do more of? I am quite literally editing the words that come out of your mouth. And I think that really thoughtful team building that respects people asks powerful questions, and I say powerful because it gives people the power to answer with something that is meaningful and important to them. And when humans, whole groups of them, connect over what's meaningful and important to them, it turns out that is actually what builds teams. The second concept, super clever, came from my friend Chris Danilo, who is a nerd about the brain. And he just kind of stumbled upon this practice for himself that has been extremely effective. What he noticed is when he time blocks stuff, like, hey, work on this project at this time, he and I related to this, like notoriously rebellious. You time block something on my calendar, I will do anything except for that thing on that time block. And what he realized is all he needed was a reminder to be thinking about that. And so he would put reminders on his calendar that were recurring every year. And one of the examples was, so he put this on his own calendar. Chris, are you making progress toward your fitness goals? Or 100 days before the end of the year, he just has a recurring calendar invite that just says, there's only 100 days left this year. What are you gonna do with it? And so it's just these little reminders and little prompts to make you more intentional throughout your day. I think this concept is really quite profound. There's probably a book that Chris is gonna write on it one day. How the heck are you gonna use this to build your team? I would suggest getting together, having a discussion about what actually makes a good team. What's a team that they wanna be a part of? So you talk about that and you list out a bunch of characteristics of a team that they wanna be a part of and what would help build their team. And then I would just go through, I would call this like reminders conversion. This exercise can be called reminders conversion, where you take what makes a great team for you, and then you convert those into calendar reminders that actually become shared calendar invites on everybody's calendar. So you agree to say, oh, we really value the concept of connection before content, but we know we get really busy around tax season because we're accountants. And so you just put maybe April 1st, you put a shared calendar invite that just says, do you have 2 minutes to text somebody just to check in with them to see how they're doing, right? Just simple reminder like that. But if you get together and in a 2-hour period, you convert all these things that build a team into reminders, plot them on your calendar, what you've done in that team building session isn't just had a nice time bowling for 2 hours, but what you've done is taken what builds a good team and scattered it all across your calendar to make team building a much more sustainable practice. Really, the most ideal thing that could happen right now on YouTube is I say, hey, comment below and tell me what specific context and purpose you're gathering for, and I'll offer some team building suggestions. Now that might be unrealistic for me to offer in full, which is why this December I'm hosting the Connectors Summit, which is this annual gathering that I'm hosting for the first time, happens live virtually. I facilitate it, you, me, live on Zoom, where I'm actually asking for your challenges, problems, questions, etc., and speaking specific to your context. And I created the Connector Summit because ideally I'd love to just have coffee with every single person that watches any one of my videos. But that would probably ruin my marriage and make me a bad dad, because I would just be getting a lot of coffee with people. And so this is our chance to meet live, go deeper than the YouTube videos, go more specific, more applied into your content. And there is a link below to the Connectors Summit. And frankly, it's gonna be pretty awesome. If you want one more really clever idea, watch this next video on how to manage up, where I describe this concept of a user guide, where you actually, as a team, get together and write a user manual for yourself. Like vacuums come with a user manual, but humans don't. Humans are way more complex to operate and work with in a team, but we come with no user manual. And so one of the reasons teams break down is because we have no flippin' clue on how to interact with given people. But if you create a user manual, in this video, How to Manage Up walks you through that process, and I think you'll really enjoy it. I am Chad. Have an awesome day.